holidays?
Nice, quiet, uneventful, but yeah, it was nice.
What you were looking for?
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
yep. A time to just kind of rest and relax and have some time off
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not have anything scheduled, which was
Right.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That is the opposite of how my holiday was, but that's that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, as long as you enjoyed it.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. I
Matter.
mean, when we go home, it's bananas. So, but it's fun.
Good,
It's
good.
yeah. So, yeah. So, um, well, here's what I thought we would do. I thought we would look at start off the new year, um, and do a little bit of reflecting on 2025, and then talking about a little bit of goal setting for 2026. And when I think about goal setting, I don't think about goal setting as this exercise where I'm arbitrarily like trying to set some standards for what I'm doing. I actually think about those goals, and the goal that I set is the person that I want to become. So it's not, you know, I'm setting this intention or whatever you want to call it, and not thinking about it as this is the person I want to become, and now I have to reverse engineer it. How do I get from here to here? Because what happens so often, maybe not for you and for other people who watch this later on, but I know for me in the past, I've set these goals, but I don't have a process of how to get there.
Okay,
And
sure.
and that is the goal is important because we
Yeah.
need we need a benchmark or a mile marker, but we need a process of how to get there, and we need to and then because then what that should do is that should shape the way that we interact with the time frame that we're setting the goal in.
Okay, sure.
So
Yep.
yeah. So let's start with talking about wins for 2025. So give me some wins for 2025 for you. Could be
I have
anything,
a
by the way. I don't care. Whatever it
anything
is. Wins or wins.
when I have very increased ankle dorsiflexion. I mean, noticeably
Yeah.
more range of
Yeah.
motion, ankles, which is fabulous.
Which you're not supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be able to do that at your young age, right?
Yeah, exactly. I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a chiropractor basically telling me that I wasn't going to ever change anything, you know, because of
Yeah.
my age.
Yeah.
And he was
That's
as
garbage.
I was, I was like, dude,
Yeah. Yeah. That's garbage, by the way.
I know.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
didn't believe it then.
Now, now to be fair, I mean, let's have a fair conversation about that as well. Can we expect you to have the same ankle dorsiflexion or ankle range of motion that you would have when you were 17? Probably not.
No, right,
But
right,
to say wherever you're currently at with or wherever you were currently at that time, and not creating any strategies as to how to improve your ankle range of motion, then yes, you 100% can expect to stay where you were at. But and also you could have tried to increase your ankle range of motion and maybe not got anywhere, but at least you tried, right?
right, right. Yep,
So and through very few things have I ever seen trying and getting nowhere, right?
right,
Like if you're putting forth that intention, especially in your body, you're like your body, it responds to the stimulus that you give it, you know?
right. Yep,
So
it does.
yeah. So
Yeah,
increased ankle dorsiflexion is was a win from 2025.
yep.
Anything else? What else?
Stability in a split stance.
Mm,
Yep.
yeah.
Especially like now I've started doing a little bit of yoga
Uh
again.
huh. Uh huh.
And so that really comes into play with yoga, with
Yeah.
the poses, because there's a lot of split stance.
Warrior triangle. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're going in and out of all of those poses,
Yep.
and just so much more solid and strong in those. Whereas before, I was just kind of hanging into my flexibility
Yeah, yeah,
on
yeah,
those,
yeah,
and it didn't feel good.
yeah, yeah. I re- so I took Iyengar yoga from an instructor when I was living in Michigan for about a year and a half. And Lindley actually had been to India. She went to the Iyengar Center. Like
Mhm.
she was legit.
Yep.
She was super impressive. She was in her. I would estimate that she was probably in her early, late, somewhere between late 50s to mid 60s, and the things that she could still do with her body was pretty impressive. And like she had the requisite control to be able to do those things. Like when I watched her do stuff, I was never like, nah, you're just getting away with that, right? That was never the case. And I remember um, I was there on a Saturday, and we were doing headstands and shoulder stands and up against the wall. And one of the one of the students was there. One of my fellow students or classmates was there, and Literally was like, yeah. She said to her because she was basically doing what you were talking about, which was hanging. She was performing that because of her flexibility. She
Yep.
did not have the stability to do the things that she was doing. And Lindley was like, we should probably come out of that a little bit, and here's what we need to do, and here's how we need to regress it. And that was the first time that I ever saw movement regression um that was really sophisticated. And it was one
Hmm.
of the things that really impressed me about her. And then it was and then with Marcia, with all the Katie Bowman stuff,
Yep.
um,
Mhm.
that definitely impresses me. Now, I will tell you, I cannot watch Katie Bowman. I would rather eat the hand gripper than listen to that woman talk. Um, she is brilliant, amazing information, but not for me. I went to Marcia one time and I told her, I was like, I know you love Katie, but I can't listen to her talk. She is so patronizing. It is evident to me that she works with an older population that has a much kinder, gentler personality type than I am, right?
Oh,
And so,
yeah, yeah,
so I said to Marcia, I was like, "I'll come pay you to tell me the things that Katie I could learn from Katie because I like
there
the
you
way
go.
that you deliver it better." But
Yeah.
but that was one of the things that impressed me about some of Katie's stuff as well was that it was those kind of regressions
Yep.
and then using the bolstering, which is essentially what you're doing when you're bringing your foot up off the ground, or like when you're doing like incline pigeons. um, there we go. On that guy there, because
Yep.
I'm trying to go flat with my leg, but I can't quite
Right.
yet. So
Yep.
I'm using the bolstering or the regressions to then help me get into those positions. And then what all of those things are trying to help us do is to help us create sustainable adaptations,
Right.
right? And so cool. So better ankle dorsiflexion, more stability to split squat stance. And it sounds to me like in those split squat stances, you're feeling more strength. And so you're
Yep.
starting to actually get mobility and not
Right.
just, yeah, not just relying on flexibility.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Cool, cool. How about anything else?
Just understanding that pain is a sign of weakness. That's a
Yeah, yeah,
huge.
yeah.
That's huge. Huge.
Yeah. So let's talk about something else along with that as well. So when I'm working with someone and we talk about pain, I have to there has to be a couple different variants of pain. So
Hmm.
one being fatigue. So like when you're doing split squats or you're doing something, tib raises are a perfect example.
Yeah.
Most
Or calf
people,
raises. Calf raises are another. A calf
okay,
raises for
yep,
just yeah.
perfect. Yeah, those two things are a perfect example. Most people get somewhere between 12 and 15 reps in the beginning. And especially on tib raises, it feels like someone's flaying your shins off your body, right?
Yep.
And it's a weird thing because it goes from, oh, this is okay, to like, holy crap, what's going on, very quickly, right? So that's a fatigue issue. That's an
Right.
endurance issue. That's your
Yep.
body, that's your brain just going, yo, I got no more left in the tank now, right?
Yep.
So there's your first one. fatigue. The next one is when you create, so like in my knee, when I was first doing split squats, um, or even starting to get into deeper squats, and I was still working around a fairly unstable knee joint. I would have the next day a feeling of insecurity in my knee,
Mm.
but it wasn't from re-injury. It was because I'm forcing adaptation in the joint, and my tendons and ligaments have, eh, for lack of better term, I've created the some trauma to them
Mhm.
because they weren't used to handling the load and the range of motion. They weren't used to handling that demand, right? They
Right.
didn't have the ability to handle that demand. And so I would have this this insecurity slash kind of weak weakness kind of pain,
Mhm.
um that
Mhm.
wasn't from a re-injury. It was just from my body is now going like, yo, we got to get something straight here. And so, and then there's, I stub my toe pain,
Yeah.
and then there's actual hurt pain, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
so we want to start to look at those like four kind of like, you know, different different mechanisms of pain.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm.
it, because we want to be able to separate them away, especially when you're injured and you're coming back from an injury. And
Mhm.
if it's been something that you've been working around for a long time, and so this was also when I would have and I now know this. I wish I would have known this back 20 years ago when I was dealing with all my low back pain. Um, I would do yoga, and because I was unstable and I didn't have the strength to do some of the requisite movements, um, I would get pain in my back, but but it was more like the pain I had in my knee than it was the pain when I had back spasms.
Mm.
But I
Mhm.
associated all of that with pain, and so
Oh,
I would want to stay away from it. When what I
sure.
really should have done is I should have strategically went more towards that thing,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Because it's a different type of pain than the spasms, right?
Yep. Yep.
So so yeah, those I think that's an interesting, kind of format in ways to think about pain, and then being able to determine what's going on in your own body, because that's the big thing with that. Because it's not like I want to ignore the pain. I don't want to. I don't. But I also don't want to enable the pain, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And so then, like you were talking about, pain is more. It's really a lack of strength, or it's a weakness,
Mhm.
um, than it is really. And that's a problem that we can solve. It's a solvable problem if your regressions are good enough, right?
Right.
So, well, cool, cool. Well, that sounds like those sound like they were pretty big breakthroughs, though. I mean, from a structural standpoint to a stability standpoint to a overall kind of understanding
Mhm.
of uh, how to recognize things in your body differently. You know,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Huge.
yeah, very cool, very cool.
Yep.
So, well, for me in 2025, I after 4 years of really putting my my knee back together and my shoulder, my right shoulder and then my left shoulder back together. Um, I feel like I'm able to start to kind of get after it a lot more, and start to really increase load for me. Um, and I think that that's an important conversation for me to continue to have with people because
Mhm.
I, it took me 4 years to get to the place where, like, last year at this time, there was no way. Last January, there was no way I could have handled a 70-pound split squat, let alone a 100-pound split squat. I just wasn't there yet.
Mhm.
I felt I was stable enough, but I hadn't put enough time in to get the joint to handle it. And
Right.
so, um, now as I'm working towards my finishing up my ATG level 1 certification and then looking at the ATG level 2 certification, um, I now I have the confidence that I can go start to chase some of those things. Where last year at this time I wouldn't have been able to do it.
Hmm.
So when you're coming back from an injury or coming off an injury, depending on how severe the injury is, you know, you you may not, depending on your goals as well, depending on what you want to do,
Hmm.
you may not be able to really get after things as aggressively as you'd like to get after them uh, for a year or 2 or 3 years, right? um, because you have to allow your body to adapt to the stress and the stimulus that you're putting it under. And also, none of us who is going to be on this platform are 22. So so we need to remember that we can't put 22-year-old body expectations on a body that's 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, right?
Right.
So we need to be a little bit more patient with stuff like that. Also, that doesn't mean that just because you can't get after it the way that you want to, that doesn't mean that you can't improve your performance. You can't improve your strength. You can't improve how your body actually responds to day to day stimulus and maybe stimulus that you put it through, uh, you know, in hobbies or activities. It just means that you're not at you're not at that wherever elite is for your body, you're not there yet. But that doesn't mean that you can't be working through that and you can't increase the capacity of what you're able to do, right?
Right.
So that's a really important thin slicing of being able to manage expectations, but also realizing that you know, well, I wasn't able, well, last year at this time, I wasn't able to do what I was able to do this year. Currently, um, I was far more capable than I was 2 years before that. Right. And so, again, like I said, that just depends on whatever high performance is for your body, and if you're really chasing that thing. For some people, they don't want to chase that thing like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. You can still build an incredibly resilient and adaptable and high performing machine, but you just may not need to be a crazy person like I am. So um so th- that I think that that's a really important conversation to have, because people, they either think that oftentimes, and I'm sure you've seen this as well, where they think that they're not able to get, they're injured, so they're stuck, or like they're just trying to pour the gas on all the time, and then they kind of go backwards, and it kind of
Hmm.
fuels that cycle of being stuck.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so I think that those are like the two pretty big ones for me. Like I was able to um really push myself physically last year in ways that I haven't been able to in a long, long, long time. So that's pretty cool. And I can see it in my day-to-day life, and I can see it in jiu-jitsu and all the rest of those things.
Well, that
So
that's just as important where you see it, in day to day life and your other
yeah,
activities. And
yeah,
one
yeah.
thing, some new
It
equipment. So
yeah, we got squat rack.
yeah.
What else did we get? Yeah, the squat rack was the big thing this year. I mean, that's a big piece. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of researching around on plates, to buy some plates. I don't quite know what I'm going to get yet, so I'm doing a little bit of research. But that's super exciting because I haven't had a barbell and been able to load like that in a long time. And actually, truth be told, we got that squat rack really from my wife. So one of the cool things about this squat rack is that the this middle bar here comes out, and you can move it around. And so Melissa's trying to like get her pull-ups down. And so
Oh.
That
Okay.
helps
Yep.
a ton, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Speaking in
Because
which, do you know who could
what
do legit
they
pull-ups
call those
is Marsha.
Australian
What's
they
that?
call those Australian pull-ups. Is that what they call them? Down. Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Australian pull-ups. Yeah.
Yep.
Down under. Yeah.
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 So, and then that's also the bonus of the rings too.
Oh, sure.
Is
Yeah.
so with the rings you can use them to to help like the deficits that you have. And when we talk about like we've talked about long range and short range movements. So obviously, like this ring row is a long range movement for your lats and for your kind of pulling muscles. But the cool thing about the rings is that you can grade them. You can grade the angle that you want to move at, right?
Yep.
And
Right.
so you can increase the weight, but you can start to say like so for my pull-ups for ATG, I have to be able to get chest to bar. And I was I I was not able to do that. I had some struggle with that. I figured out some ways around it, but had I had rings, I would have been able to like really work on just this short range motion here for because I didn't have a problem like I don't have a problem at the beginning. I had a problem once I got to like right here to get the elbow behind the body and get that good scapular retraction, right?
Right. Yep.
So being able to work on that motion here, right, in that short range is super helpful. Or like if you have a problem in the beginning, now you can start to really work on that pull from that from that short range motion here as well. So
Yeah.
the rings are pretty cool for that, as is the bar. So so
Cool.
yeah, that's I'm excited because I want to see if Melissa can get we can get her to do a pull up. But you know who has a legit pull up is Marcia.
Oh yeah, I bet she does.
She does. Like I was over at her place a little while ago, and like I saw her do it. I'm like, get it, because that's you don't see a lot of women. Well, There's not a lot of men that can do pull ups. And there's
Right.
there's less women, so that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Well,
So
yeah, and she's got long levers and a long body too. I mean, yeah,
yeah, yeah,
more.
yeah, 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 yeah. She comes by her Scandinavian heritage very honestly, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I was super impressed with watching because I remember, I mean, now almost 10 years ago, 10 years ago, Marcia would have never been able to do that, you know. So she just didn't have the upper body strength because she didn't spend it. She didn't spend the time trying to move her upper body like that, you know.
Right. Right. Yep.
So yeah, it's been
Good.
pretty cool to watch her progressions there. So okay, so when we look at a couple of things that we want to think about a couple of things that I think about when I do goal setting.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of set some loose goals for like the end of the year. So I've been thinking about like, okay, so when I look at my ATG certs, the requirements for level 2, and I look at the things that are I'm gonna definitely need to work on. Um, like front squat and 185 for a set of 5, right? Um, and standing pancake head to floor. Um, Things like that, things that are in a back bridge. I haven't done back bridges in forever, and I've lost them, right? Um, so like those are things and I want to pick like 2 to 3, 3 to 5. I don't want 100, right?
Mhm.
Because if I get
Mhm.
100, then I'm going to lose focus. So like last year, I really wanted to get to flat ground split squats. If we would have talked last year at this time, I would have talked to you about wanting to get to flat ground split squats because I wasn't routinely doing flat ground split squats last year at this time. So I really wanted to get that down. Um, so so yeah, so I think about like, okay, so I have, let's say, those three things that I want to get down, right? Because I know if I can get, I know if I can get, and I want to throw in there, I want to do a muscle up as well. I haven't done one in a long time, and I want to get one of those because that would that would help build me the requisite strength to get continuous chest to bar pull ups. Um, So when I set those kind of 3 to 4 goals, now what I have to do is I have to start to reverse engineer it and look backwards. And I think the best way to do that is to go, okay, so here's who I want to become. Um, who do I need to become then in at the end at the beginning of or yeah at the beginning of uh the beginning of Q4 next year and the beginning of Q3 and the beginning of Q2. So take these 90-day stretches
Mm,
because then I can create a framework around that 90 days that is actionable,
mhm,
right? If I just say I'm going to create this goal, you know, a year out, that's a really hard, it's not very long, but it's long,
mhm,
so it's hard to be actionable in that time frame and create something that you can kind of follow, you know. So when Jerry and we sit down on Monday mornings, we have our meeting that kind of sets the tone for the week. And one of the things that we do is, well, we do two things. We set 1 to 3 crucial results that we want to get done in the next 7 days. And then we look at strategic projects, which are 30, 60, 90-day projects. And then what we start to do is we kind of reverse engineer those 30, 60, 90-day projects. Well, it's really a 90-day project most of the time. And that 90-day project is, okay, where do we want the business to be? Who do we want the business to be in 90 days? Right? And then what should happen is each week those that strategic project, those 30, 60, 90-day goals should a portion of that should show up in our 1 to 3 crucial results each week, right?
mhm.
So that we're taking these small actionable steps each week to get to the place that we want to be,
Okay.
right?
Mhm.
So thoughts on that idea?
I like the idea of putting it into a 90-day, go in 90-day framework. Never.
Yeah. So
Thought of it.
when you join the collective, that's one of the things that we do is we do uh I I set a 90-day program knowing that in the first block of 90 days, that thing's going to change a bunch. But I set us a 90-day block, and then based on where you're at and what we need to work with and what we're
Mhm,
trying to work on, and then th- that and then you have that 7 days. You have 7 days where we might program, somewhere depending on who it is, 3 to 5 days, depending on who you are, what you have going on. Like Jeremy, that was in the challenge. I wouldn't program for him 5 days of anything, right? Because his back stuff is pretty severe, and
mm,
so I might program for him 2 days in the beginning just to see what happens,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
But for someone like yourself, if you wanted to, we may program 4 to 5 days a week. And
Okay,
what that may look like is, if it was 5 days, it would be two work days, a mobility day that's actually mobility, like that's the focus of it, and then 2 more work days,
okay.
right?
Mhm,
So and that mobility day in there is really kind of a rest day, but you're
mhm.
still progressively trying to improve, either through your own body weight or through loaded movement. You're trying to improve some skills that help you with the other days, right?
Okay, sure.
But again, in that first 90 days, I know that we're going to do a ton of change in there because there's going to be we're first of all we're trying stuff on to see how it fits, and then we're um, we're kind of listening to your body and seeing what the adaptations are, and in that second 90-day block, pending that we are clear of a lot of symptoms, that second 90-day block we start to go a little bit more,
Okay,
and then the third 90-day block and the fourth 90-day block, we should be running compared to where we started,
okay.
you know? So yeah, that's kind of where that's kind of how we and then like, as we start to get out of crisis mode, if you will, then what we wind up doing is I may program you in that 90-day block. I may have 6 to 8 weeks or 8 to 10 weeks where we, in a program, just so we keep novelty high. Because the other
Okay.
thing that we need to do is we need to, in my opinion, for most people, novelty needs to be a thing, right? We need fresh stuff on
Yeah. Yeah.
occasion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
The actual movements don't change a lot, but the reps will change,
Mm.
the number of sets will change, the order in which they're programmed will change, right?
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
there's a freshness to it, and it keeps that kind of, well, for me, fun, right? But it keeps, at least it keeps it fresh a little bit.
Sure. Sure.
So yeah,
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
I like
So
it.
yeah. So when you're thinking about goal setting for this year, like, again, throw a couple things out there that are also a stretch a little bit too, right? Because again, we're not setting goals of like, oh well, I want my split squat to be 5 pounds heavier in a year. I'm not certain that that's actually the best use of my time, right? It should be something that's a stretch, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So,
Yeah.
when at the beginning of last year, I knew I wanted to chase flat ground split squats, but I was chasing flat ground split squats so I could get to half my body weight in a flat ground split squat. And I did that, and I got, half my weight would be somewhere around 90 pounds, 90, 92 pounds, right? But I did that plus some when I got to 100 pounds. So, you want to put something that you're trying to stretch into, so that, again, you become the person that you want to become, and you're not just staying stuck in the same place. um and that's something else I watch people do as well, is they don't, either they set way too ambitious of goals, right? Or that their goal is too small and it doesn't stretch enough, and so they're both actually kind of the same. You wind up with the same result, you know
Sure. Sure.
so yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Does anything jump out to you right away where you think like, man, if I could do this next year at this time, that'd be pretty cool.
I think for me, the biggest thing is single leg stability is really hard for me. Like I'm still
Yeah.
doing the split squats. I mean, I've got it down to the ground now,
Yep.
but I still am holding on to something.
Yep.
And same with the Patrick step up.
Yep.
I still have to have something that I hold on to because I
Yep.
just
Yep.
don't have single leg stability. I just
Yeah.
don't have.
So here's a couple ways you could go about doing that. With the Patrick step up, uh, you could um, begin to increase your height a little bit, but still
Okay.
hold on to the thing, right?
Okay.
Whatever it is that you're holding on to, because what we're trying to do is we're trying to increase the external demand on your body, so it starts to build that stability in your foot, ankle, knee, and hip.
Okay.
So there's one of the ways that you can do that. Or you could stay flat ground, still hold on to the thing for stability, and start to add some external load there as well, right?
Oh, you
And
mean like weight?
yep, wait, yep.
Okay. Okay.
Um, the other way that you could do it is you could do so on your split squat, you could raise your height back up again, but start to add external load there, or raise that height back up to a place where you don't have to hold on to anything, where you feel
Oh,
stable enough, right?
okay.
And start to build those reps there,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So the goal is here's the trick, right? The goal in theory is a flat ground split squat for sure. But
Mhm.
really the goal is uh, to have a split squat that you can own.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
all the while teasing out areas where it's more difficult for you on your nervous system, and then for your actual physical structure, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But we want to be able to go back and forth between those things, right? Especially because you're trying to add those building blocks. So for me, when I was trying to get, so I got a flat ground split squat, but then I looked at my form and I was like, dude,
Yeah.
your left heel's coming up a little bit, right? So I went back to on a step, and I would do like 5-second pauses with load. So that's forcing my body to adapt to a greater range of motion with that pause and external load.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
the goal is to have a split squat that you can own at whatever height that it's at, but still progressing down to wherever you want it to be,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
So, well, yeah, and I think both of those are not that this matters, but I think that both of those are worthwhile goals to chase and super important,
Yeah.
right? That single leg stability is super important,
Yeah. It
you
is.
know. So, and as your foot ankle gets stronger, and as your knee hip gets stronger, you have less chance of, the catastrophic fall, break your hip, go to the hospital, catch pneumonia, and never come back, right?
Right. I
So,
know.
yeah. When I
I
I tell people now, I think self-defense now is not, can you kick someone's ass? Self-defense is, can you keep yourself yourself healthy enough so that you can stay out of the hospital? That's actual self-defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
seriously, you have a greater chance of the other thing happening than you do someone breaking your house and robbing you, right?
It's true. Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool. Well, great chat.
Yes.
Hopefully, um, you gain some a little bit of perspective out of it, and see how we
Yes.
can build Sonia next year into single leg Sonia. We'll confuse you with Daniel LaRusso from the Karate Kid next year at
Right.
this time, right? You'll be crane kicking everybody, right? So good, good. Well, we will wrap up. I appreciate you as always, Sonia, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks,
All
Shawn.
right. Thanks so much, Sonia. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.